Hello, I'm Consuelo Mack. Welcome to Wealth Track Women, a series devoted to helping women plan their financial lives with the help of top women financial advisors. There may be no greater threat to a woman's financial security than getting divorced. Research indicates about 1 in 5 women fall into poverty because of a divorce, and that about 1 in 3 who have children and own a home lose that home because of divorce. 3 out of 4 women don't get all the child support they're promised. Our advisors agree you need to strategize ahead of time, then be ready to fight for yourself and your children.
How to financially survive a divorce involves really thinking about that divorce before you even get to divorce. That means knowing everything about a woman's finances, and it means knowing everything about a husband's finances. So before you even get to the stage of divorcing, you want to make sure you have as clear a picture of the family finances as possible. After the divorce, many women don't realize how much more expensive it is to live alone or live in a separate residence where everything had been combined. So there's everything from perhaps even auto insurance is going to be more expensive because it's 1 and not for 2. Housing, it's going to be double. You still need a 3-bedroom home or a 2-bedroom apartment, what you'd needed before if the kids go back and forth. There's many hidden costs, perhaps the daycare that you need on evenings. If you're starting a small business and you need to go out and network, you have to factor in the price of daycare, of babysitting. I think the most important thing in a divorce is really knowing what you spend, what you're bringing in and what you spend. And there are going to be perhaps harder choices to make, but knowing where every penny goes is essential.
Well, a lot of clients will ask me, if I marry this person, do I marry their debt? And the answer is, no, not necessarily. If after marriage you take responsibility for it, you mix it up, you take on that mortgage or that credit card debt, if you add your name to it, yeah, you own it too. You're a single economic unit. But in fact, typically state laws will recognize the fact that you come in with your own assets and liabilities, and typically you can keep those if you divorce. In addition, inheritances, typically if you keep that separate, that wouldn't be subject to a divorce.
So you see this quite often. It's a wealthy couple, he's working in finance, she's been home with the kids for many years. And of course, because he's in finance, he's handling all the money. So he handles the tax returns, he handles the investment accounts, and she really has no clue. What she knows is that a certain amount of money is deposited into the checking account every week or every month, and she basically knows not to spend more than that amount of money. And so that's where it starts. He has often already assembled the team because it's usually the people that they've been using. So he knows the accountant and maybe having offline discussions with the accountants already. He's gotten an attorney. Sometimes it's some of his buddies that have recommended an attorney to him, or he just knows the attorneys from his network. And he's already started hiding assets, decreasing their style of living, and basically positioning things for the divorce. She, in the meanwhile, has little to no idea what's going on. Maybe she realizes there's some strain in the family, whatever. At some point, something breaks, somebody comes clean, and she needs to start making some very difficult decisions. Part of the challenge is that often he's been ahead of her on this, and so she's got to start from scratch and basically play catch up, and she doesn't have information. She has very little access to documents, and she really doesn't know where to start, and also doesn't want to rock the boat. So there's a lot going on here from an emotional standpoint as well as a practical standpoint. Be prepared to go all in on this. So what you find is that when women are going through a divorce, They are very nervous about the relationships, don't want to be disruptive. And again, I'm not saying to intentionally be disruptive or combative, but at some point you need to stand up for yourself and stand up for your children, and that's very difficult for these women. They don't want to fight the fight. You need to set a good example for your children. The woman gets custody of the children, and she is essentially responsible for these children in ways that are anticipated and in many ways that are not anticipated, like additional costs for summer camp or guitar lessons or tutors. And a lot of times you see men saying, I'm not going to pay for that. That's not in the divorce decree. Where does it say in paragraph 5 that I'm responsible for an SAT tutor? It doesn't say that. Or there's a maximum of $1,000 a year on tutors, and Johnny needs a special math tutor. And guess what? She's a mom. She's going to do right by Johnny. So she's then going to go into her pocket and she's going to pay for that math SAT tutor. She's going to pay for that extra camp or that extra tuba lesson or whatever it is. And I see this over and over again. And how is she going to say no? Johnny's right there with her. And the meanwhile, typically, the man is in a different home. He may be in a different state. And he's starting to lead a different life. And he sees Johnny every other weekend and on Easter break. And so one of the things I talk to the women about is you need to fight very hard now to get as much as you can now. And this is not for you. You know, because women are so used to being selfless that they're almost embarrassed to think that they're going to fight for themselves. So I will position it and say, you're not fighting for yourself. You're fighting for your family. You're fighting for your children. And this is your one shot. And then they'll say to me, well, you know, my husband, he's going to be good to them. He's always been good to them. And I will turn to her and I say, you know something? I understand that that's been the case. And I'm thrilled for you. And I'm hopeful that that will be the case going forward. But what if it's not? What if it's not? What if things change? You cannot count on the fact that your husband or ex-husband is going to continue paying for the fancy camps in 5 years. Because more often than not, a lot of that stuff dries up. So you've got to fight today. Today is your chance.
And so another cost that you need to budget in contentious divorces is therapy. Therapists run $300 an hour. And if you need twice a week, and also, you know, often the children need counseling as well as the mother, particularly in contentious divorces.
We hope you'll like and share this video with your friends and family. Also find more topics and resources for women at wealthtrack.com.